All right, so in this one, we're going to take a look at quadratic functions again. We're going to compare some of the forms, and we're going to be spending a few different lessons on this. We'll spend a little more time working on some skills here, practicing these skills. So we'll spend a little bit of time on this. I think I fixed the focus issue that we had in the previous video. I apologize for kind of zooming in and out all the time. Now, I think if I just tap on the screen, it should stay focused. So here we got the concept of taking our two forms here, the vertex form and the zeros form, and we're going to be able to convert them to the standard form. And so that's all we're focusing on in this one. In later lessons, we'll go from this one to these two. But right now, vertex form to standard form and factored form, factored form or zeros form to standard form. So some skills we need to get into this. First thing, expanding or multiplying brackets. So when you hear the term expanding in math, what we're talking about is multiplying out things that involve a bunch of brackets and algebra. So as a general rule, when we're multiplying our brackets, what we're going to do is multiply everything inside the bracket by everything outside the bracket. And so you're going to do basically they're just a whole bunch of successive multiplications. The two main things we're going to look at here are taking a single value times two values, such as this. So we take a single a value, or whatever is outside, one thing outside the brackets, and then two items inside the brackets. These are two terms separated by a plus or minus sign. So when we do that, all we do is we multiply everything inside by the a. So we do a times b and a times c. And then we'll simplify it. And I could do it here and have the letters, and the textbook uses it, and it's ab plus ac, and it starts to look confusing. So we'll look at the actual examples and see it where it makes a little more sense in a moment. So that's one rule if we have one number out front. Also note, sometimes you'll see that the a value is at the end, but it works the same. It's still a times b and a times c. Doesn't matter if it's in the front or the back, it still works the same. The other case we're going to look at is when we have a bracket with two items times a bracket with two items. So a 2 by 2 here. And when we do those ones, it's the same kind of concept. We multiply everything in one bracket by everything in the other bracket. So here, I multiply everything, a times c, a times d, and then everything in the other bracket by b, b times c, b times d. You'll sometimes see the term FOIL with this. FOIL, which stands for first, outside, inside, last. So if you're familiar with that term, you may have heard that before. If you recall this from grade 10, if not, that's okay. We're starting fresh. You don't need to know grade 10 to do this. But if you did use FOIL, that just means the first number in each bracket, a times c. The outside number in each bracket, a times d. The inside numbers in each bracket, b times c. Because they're on the inside, and then b times d for the last numbers in each bracket. So FOIL just does exactly that. Multiplies a by everything, then multiplies b by everything. It's just a memory aid to make sure you do all the multiplications, but really you should be doing 4 multiplications here. And we'll look at some examples now of using these, and they'll hopefully make more sense. If you're confused, it's okay. Okay, for some of you, this is brand new. And if something's new, take some time to learn. We're going to have some practice and practice sheets on just doing expanding, multiplying one number by 2, multiplying 2 numbers by 2, and we're just going to practice, and hopefully with enough, you'll get better. The more you do, the better you'll get. You'll just start seeing the patterns eventually. So in this first one, we got 3 times x plus 2. So we got to multiply everything inside by 3. So I like to draw the lines, and I do it step by. Generally, I'll do 3x, and I'll do it step by step. But I know I got to multiply everything, and that just helps me keep track, especially when you get to the bigger ones. You'll see. But we have 3 times x, and so 3 times x is simply 3x. 3x is just 3 times, it means 3 times x. Can't do anything with it. We can't make it smaller and that, so just 3x. Then we have 3 times negative 2. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. That's it. We're done. 3x minus 6. Note, you cannot subtract here. 3x and negative 6 can't be added, subtracted, or anything. You can't change it at all. These are not the same. 3x is one term, and 6 is a different type of term. Okay, the only time you could add or subtract is if they both had an x or no x. The variables and exponents have to be exactly the same. We'll see that in some future questions. The next one, we have x times 3x plus 1. And so here, when we multiply this, we get 3x squared in the first one. Why? Well, the 3 times x is the same as over here, but then we also have the x and 2 x's. So x times x is equal to x squared. Just like we could write 3 times 3, a short way to write that is 3 squared. That's what we do with the variables. We have x times x, so that's x squared. So we get 3x squared with the first part, and then the second part, x times 1. That's just 1x, or just x. You could put the 1 there. It's perfectly fine, but in general, we assume that if we just have the letter x there, that it means 1x. That's it. We can't add these together because that's x squareds, and that's an x. That's squares, and that's like just a line kind of idea. It'd be like trying to add those together and get 4 what? So not possible to add them. So we can't add them there. Again, not like terms. And again, you'll see some like terms in the next ones. And the last one here, now we have 3x times negative x plus 4. So same process. We're going to multiply this. Negative and a positive multiplied together make a negative. There's no number to multiply the 3 with, so it's just 3. And then again, I have x times x. So you just kind of break them down into pieces. And when we do that, I find they become a lot easier. So there's my pieces. Negative 3x squared for the first one. And then that next multiplication there, 3x times 4. So now I can multiply 3 and 4. And I get positive 12. Make sure you put the sign. I know normally you don't put a plus sign in front, but if you don't, put the plus sign there. If you don't put the plus sign there, so I get 3x squared, and you just put 12, well, what's that mean? Does that mean we got to multiply this? And it gets confusing. This should be a plus 12 because these are 2 different terms. This is one term, this is the other term. Terms have to be separated by plus or minus. And then the next one, 3x times 4. The x part now, and so it's x. So 3x squared plus 12x. All right. Now again, if you find that confusing, do more practice on it. The more you practice, the more you'll start to see it happen. And we'll work on these with some practice questions. The other type that we talked about was the 2 by 2s. So 2 terms by 2 terms. So remember, we take the a value, the first term in the first bracket, multiply it by both, and then take the second value, multiply it by both. So here, we're going to take the x, multiply it by 3x, and that's going to give me 3x squared. And then the x times negative 2 is going to give me negative 2x. So now I've done the first multiplication. Now I got to deal with the 1. So now it's positive 1 times 3x, which is just plus 3x, and positive 1 times negative 2, which is negative 2. Here, I have it all nicely expanded. So now I just need to do some simplifying. In these cases, these two parts here will be the same. If you follow the same order, you do this first, x times these two, and then the 1 times these two. If you follow that order, that FOIL order, first outside, inside, last, you're going to end up with the middle two terms both having the x or whatever letter, if it's a different letter. But notice this is 3x squared, but this is negative 2x and positive 3x. Those are the same. It's like having little x's on your fridge. If you ever had the little alphabet letters, we can combine those. We have negative 2 of them, and we have 3 of them, so that's 1. So there we can actually add them. We get 3x squared plus x minus 2. And that then kind of looks like that there. Crazy. We got ourselves a quadratic. Other situations you'll see something like this, x minus 2 squared. And this one really confuses people for some reason. But remember earlier we said that x squared is x times x. So this whole thing squared is this whole thing times this whole thing. So this is actually, and I'm going to make a little bit of extra space here to draw my lines and arrows, but I got x minus 2 times x minus 2. So anytime you see the brackets with the squared on them and you need to expand it out, you just write it out twice. So I wrote it out twice, and now it's like this. I'm just going to multiply it out. X times x is x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. Now for the second value, negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Again, I have these two values with just an x beside them. No exponent, just the plain x. So those are the same. I can add those. So I have x squared minus 4x plus 4. Negative 2 plus negative 2, or negative 2, sorry, minus 2 is 4. So there's that one. And then our last one, we just got some bigger numbers, but the same process applies. 4x times 3x gives me 12x squared. 4x times negative 5 is going to give me negative 20x. 6 times 3 is going to give me 18x. And then the 6 times negative 5 is going to give me negative 30. Just like the rest, those middle two terms work out that they're going to add together because they have the same, just plain old x with them. Negative 20 plus 18 is going to give me negative 2x minus 30. 12x squared minus 2x minus 30. Again, every time you're doing these kind with the two pairs, if you do them in this order, this FOIL order, you do the first value times both and the second value times both in the next bracket, you'll get this middle two combo being added together. If you do it in another order, you'll have all the same numbers. You'll have all same of the four numbers. These will just be in a different order, but your final result should still be the same. You should still be able to add that pair. But I highly recommend just using that order. It makes it easy. Okay, so if we're asked then to convert factor to standard form, we want to write the following in standard form. Okay, what do I do? Well, remember when I had these pairs and multiplied them out, I got a quadratic in standard form. So that's all we need to do. We just, if we're asked to write them in standard form, we just multiply these out. X times x is x squared. Put the f at x out front here. X times 7 plus 7x. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. And negative 6 times 7 is going to give me negative 42. Add those middle two terms. F at x equals x squared plus x minus 42. We got ourselves a quadratic. That's it. In the next case, little extra step, we got 3 things being multiplied, an a value and the other 2. So we got to throw this 3 in there as well. So this is a combination of the 2 styles that we looked at, multiplying these 2 first, and then we'll multiply the result by the x plus 1. So I'll just do them in order here. So I'm going to just worry about these 2 first. So I got 3 times x, which is 3x, and 3 times negative 2, which is negative 6. Now, because I have the 2 sets of brackets, I'm going to put this in brackets. And now I still have to worry about the x plus 1. So now I have something just like this, and I multiply it out the same way. 3x times x is at 3x squared. 3x times 1, just plus 3x. Negative 6 times x is going to give me negative 6x. And negative 6 times 1 is going to give me negative 6. Add those 2 middle terms. 3x squared minus 3x minus 6. And that's f at x. I got myself a quadratic. So in this case, when there's a little extra number out front, we multiply that through in one step, put the result in brackets, put our second part in there, and then just expand it out using that FOIL method. All right, last crazy thing is, what if we have to convert Vertex to standard form? It's the same kind of process. So here, remember when we have the a squared, we got to write it out twice. So that's 2 times x plus 4, just wrote it out twice, plus the 6. And now we just do everything step by step by step. Multiply the first pair. So negative 2x and negative 8. Put that in brackets because we have another multiplication to do. We're only putting it in brackets because there is another multiplication. But we have x plus 4 and then the plus 6. And again, just worry about the multiplication here. So we'll do our multiplication. We got negative 2x squared. And that'll give me negative 8x. That'll give me negative 8x. And then negative 32. And then there's still the plus 6. Now I can simplify. Negative 8x, those are the same. So I got negative 2x squared minus 16x. And then I also have this 32 plus 6. I can do that. That's just regular addition of integers. And so negative 32 plus 6, that's going to give me negative 26. And that's my g at x. So yeah, it's a few steps, but you do each step piece by piece. We expanded that exponent. We did the first multiplication. We did the second multiplication. And then we did any addition and subtraction. We're just following BEDMAS. Try one more. We got a negative sign out front here. So I got negative x minus 3, x minus 3. Deal with that exponent and double it up. Multiply by the negative sign. So that's just going to give me negative x plus 3 when we multiply those two. That's just a negative 1, by the way. Right? If we don't have a number there, it's just a 1. So negative 1 multiplies those out. Put it in brackets because there's still another multiplication to go. X minus 3 minus 2. So now we just do this pair. We get negative x squared, positive 3x, positive 3x, negative 9. So there's our first multiplication. There's still the negative 2 at the end. And then we simplify. This is g at x again. Negative x squared plus 6x minus 11. So again, a lot of this is just repetition, repetition, repetition. You practice and do them a whole bunch of times and they'll start to get a little more comfortable, hopefully. So we'll have some practice worksheets to take a look at on these ones.